Hello everyone, TLSG here, back again with another Marvel Snap live stream. So we haven't been very consistently doing live streams. I have been grinding a lot offline while I've been traveling, and we found a list that works pretty well in the current meta that we're in, even though this is probably one of the more frustrating metas to find ourselves in. Thank you everyone that jumped in. I know that it's outside of that normal time, but we have Wodar, we have Fikri, we have Subcrates, Peter Haworth, we have Alexander, we have Momo, we have Maureen, we have Little Eastwood, we have Arison Wade. Hello everyone, I'm so glad that you guys are here. Mystical Beings, Peter, I appreciate you guys being here. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day, a fantastic week. Mr. Brightside, Rumbleship, the speed in which I clicked. We have Odebert, we have Joshua, we have Stripe Barnacade, working from home. Yeah, yeah, we are definitely working from home today. And then Artemis Luck, thank you for the resub for the second month. I appreciate the support. And then Spiritual Turtle, thank you guys for being here. Even though it's outside of that normal streaming time, I appreciate you guys being here. You said, I love your videos. Spiritual, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you guys are enjoying the videos. As a creator, that's really all that I can ask for. And then Friars, welcome as well. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic week and a fantastic day. We are back at home. We have the laundry basket that's back. it's a blanket basket, but it looks like a laundry basket from far away. And then we have the sleepy puppy right over there. So we are back at home and ready to create some content. I unfortunately didn't get any of the new cards on either of my account in the token shop, even though we have plenty of tokens to go off of. Let's switch over to the gameplay screen. Even though we didn't have plenty of tokens to purchase them, we didn't get lucky. Maybe on the refresh we'll get one. That way tomorrow's video or tomorrow's stream we can focus on them. But today we're going to be doing a refinement of the Atuma deck list that we ran a little while back. And so it's a zero deck list that uses Shuri to ramp up one of your 5-cost drops into into a range that is almost uncounterable. Rye Guy, welcome. Debrum, a later stream, let's go. Jake, hello TLSG. Doc McMad, Bichu. There's an old meme song called "I Really Hate Zangief," and it's about to get remade for Leecher. Yeah, I feel that. I just feel like the overall shift in like the community, like just the feeling. Even whenever I use Leader and I get a win off of it, it just feels kind of dirty now at this point. And then hella worth it. I actually have Helicarrier on my alternate account, and so I have a build. I just haven't been able to make it yet, which I just finished Series 3 on that account as well. So I'll be able to do a couple of cool builds with Helicarrier, and I have another one that I'm brewing up for Titania that so far has been pretty good. But been running your Shuri Zero deck. It's taken me from 50 to 80. Momo, that is huge. So it's taken me from about 95 to 109. And this is the refined version of it. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. The idea behind it is that you have a couple of choices for your Invisible Woman kind of hideaway card. So we could throw Ebony Maw behind Invisible Woman if we think that they're going to try to use an arrow to yank our turn 5 play out from behind Invisible Woman. We could hide Ebony Maw, and then we don't really have to worry about it anymore. Or we could hide Taskmaster. That way we get a double powered turn 6 drop as well as a double powered Taskmaster, because he'll copy that last turn that we played. And it just creates some swings that are really hard to counter. And we'll see if we can get some good games going for you guys. Had fun with someone's Titania, got her into my side of the board and had Venom Eater. I've lost a couple of 8 cube matches from Titania when I thought the opponent had initiative, and I ended up sending Titania to their side of the board, and then they just ended up sweeping us because of it. And so it can be a card that, if not used very well, can absolutely cost you some games. So both Shadowland and Central Park here are kind of tough locations because it does start clogging up our board. We have Taskmaster in hand, which would be good as a follow-up on turn 4. I don't think we play into Vibranium Mines. I don't want to clog up our board since we don't have our key resources just yet. I'm actually going to skip here on turn 3. How do you finish Series 3 on more than one account? I only play one and not even close. So this secondary account I've played for about 5 months. So whenever Nexus events first kind of came out, I started playing on a free-to-play account, which I have bought the last 2 season passes on, just because it's going to clog up that collection so much if I don't. But I've been playing it for quite a while, and I just now finished Series 3 on it. Debrum, Shuri took me to Infinite yesterday. Glad I bought it. Yeah, Shuri seems like the most flexible of the Series 5 cards right now. It's not as easy to counter. So like a Galactus is very, very strong. But if you can identify that it's coming, it's hard to it's easier to counter. Whereas Shuri, it's a lot more difficult. We did draw Shuri, but it's a turn too late. I typically don't like to drop it after turn 4, just because you want to double up on the bonus that you get from it. So this is a White Queen, a Thor. This looks like it could be a leader deck. And if so, I like to hide our Taskmaster behind Invisible Woman. On turn 6, if they use leader, we can use a destroyer that will wipe out their board, and our card behind Invisible Woman will actually stay, even if they copy even if we drop a destroyer. And so if they use an arrow, then we probably retreat here. Otherwise, they do use an arrow. So this is one of those that we could have went with Vision instead. I didn't think they were going to use the leader, or I didn't think they were going to use the arrow. I was anticipating a leech. So on that one, we're just going to jump out. It's only 1 cube. And so we're going to rinse and repeat. A lot of this meta is, it's hit and miss. It's not so much that you get consistent 4 and 8 cube games. A lot of times you're going to be playing a numbers game. It's trying not to get tilted as you lose 3, 4, 5 in a row, and then all it takes is 1 big cube gain to be back in the positive side. And so if you can avoid getting tilted, which is easier said than done, Wodar, I'll say it, this meta sucks. It is probably one of my least favorite metas so far, Wodar. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know a more political or polite way to say it. It is a rough meta, because it seems like everything that is ran has some kind of very hard counter to it, which just makes it not very fun to play into. And then with the card acquisition, so like if people are running Null, then 90+% of people don't have access to Null, and so then it's kind of a sore spot. It kind of creates some kind of like fear of missing out, that they have this really cool deck and you just can't build it, even if you're really deep into the game. Sojo, yeah, I'd love to see more insight into those posts. Which one? So, Sojo, so TLSG, how do you feel about the current card acquisition rate? I've got Thanos locked in my shop, but it feels like I won't be getting him for a few more months. Yeah, Sojo, I think the card acquisition, and I think it's like the meta. I think it's like the meta right now. I don't like the card acquisition from either a pay-to-play or free-to-play standpoint. I think it feels bad to put money into the game. You want to feel like whatever you purchased is worth the money that you put in. And I don't feel like with the current card acquisition, I could buy $100 worth of gold and then only get maybe 1 Series 4 card out of it, and it may be M'Baku, and it may not be any good. And that just feels really, really bad, because somebody else could get, one of the brand new cards, or they could pull a couple of Series 5 cards. I'm not a fan of where we're at currently with the card acquisition. Hopefully it changes, but I know that they don't want it to feel like everybody has the same collection. It just, if a card is really, really strong, it feels bad whenever you're one of the 90% that are unable to get it. Got 91 last night, shocking myself more than anyone else. The spider, that's huge. You're so close. You're so close to infinite. Card acquisition is good. Token gain is not. Okay, I think that may be a better way to say it, Remo. Yeah, I like the idea of the token shop, but to get 6,000 tokens takes so incredibly long that it feels bad. Whenever you need 6,000 and you're getting 100 most of the time. I think that's a better way to phrase it, Remo. What do you think of the Christmas variants? Pull 3 getting cards is fine. Pull 4 is where they need to fix it, or people will leave. I think we will start seeing dropout if the card acquisition stays as it is, just because it feels especially when we start seeing cards that are just completely polarizing. I think that's where we're going to start seeing some really frustration. I think we're going to start seeing some frustration from the player side of things. So we used Shuri on Vision, which allows us kind of the flexibility to move it around the board. They haven't really given us a lot as far as what kind of deck they're running. So I think I'm just going to lean in and do a Zero and Red Skull on the far right lane. We'll move Vision over, and then we'll kind of just see. It's only one additional cube that we're gambling here, even though we don't necessarily know what kind of deck they're running. They said free-to-play will eventually have all cards as they fall into lower pools. Yeah, they will, which the rate that they drop down into those lower pools, I think, is going to be one of those big determining factors. So if I have to wait 4 months for a card that is really, really polarizing, I don't know that I wait 4 months while I continue to see it in the ladder. I think there's a lot of questions left unanswered. So we don't know the rate that they're going to degrade into the lower pools. I think that will be a big factor in if this system is successful or not. I thought when you got all pool 3 cards, you got 400. Yeah, no, so you do, so any pool 3 card that you would have pulled turns into a 400 token slot. And so you still have the 100 token reserves. It's just some of the time you'll get an extra 300 instead of just the 100. So it does increase the card acquisition rate. But the question is it enough to keep people around? Because it still takes quite a while to find enough to get 6,000. And then Tan, he said, do you agree that Arrow plus Leader are the building blocks of every non-hyper-focused deck? Right now, any kind of non-discard deck, I think it just offers so much consistency that I would agree. I think it's really, really strong right now, and it's in a place that feels like if you are not running it, you're at a little bit of a disadvantage. And so, yeah, I agree that it's probably stronger than it should. And I think they should both be on like that metaphorical watch list that Ben talks about. I just need to find a good string of people in Infinite that are charitable with their cubes. The spider. Hopefully you find it pretty soon. I hope that you're able to reach Infinite. We have a couple of weeks, so you have plenty of time. Even if you just grind it slowly, I think you'll be able to get there. So basically, if you kill 3 cards and then wave, death will be 0. So it's 4 cards. If you kill 3, it'll be 1. But yeah, that combo, Raphael, that combo is really, really strong. And then Q, you said, oh, we're live. There was no ping in the server. I threw out just a message in general, but I probably should have dropped a ping as well. But we haven't been live very long. It was kind of a impromptu thing. I finished the video for the featured location coming up tonight, and I figured I had a little bit of extra time, and I wanted to grind a little bit. I just got my M'Baku as my first pull 4 card. I mean, he can be playable. It's just you don't get as much value out of him as often. Sammy Samurai King, so how's it going? I'm glad you're able to jump in and join us. Using a Taskmaster with this deck into an opposition leader is the best feeling. Yes, that is one of my favorite plays, peoples, is if I drop the Taskmaster on turn 6. It is we used 0 last turn, or on turn 2. We should have used Maximus last turn, allowing us to do Shuri. I was distracted. So we're not going to be able to ramp up. We probably would have snapped into this play line had we played our Maximus last turn, since he was zeroed out. But I was too busy reading chat. But yeah, because if they leader your Taskmaster, that's going to copy the last card that they played, which is most of the time a 2 or a 3 card power card. And so then you get a lot of value out of it. We could still... We'll take those. Since we didn't play it optimally, we will absolutely take it. It takes 1 month to get 1 Series 5 card. Yeah, and I've opened probably a little bit over 3,000 collection levels worth of reserves between my 2 accounts. I haven't had a natural Series 5 card pull. So it feels really bad that you have to spend that many tokens, and if not, we're just waiting for it to degrade into the lower pools. I dropped from 80 to 60 in this current meta. Marine, yeah, it is very easy to get tilted in this meta, and I found that I did that a couple of times early on. I went from like 86 to 78, and I just bounced back and forth in that range as new cards kind of started showing up as those kind of consistent drops, and it is the most frustrating feeling. But if you can play it slowly and just play the slow game, try to avoid big high cube gains and go for the more consistent cubes, I think you'll be able to find a little bit. You'll slowly start chipping away at it. That's what I had to do to find my way up to 100. Is that I had to accept that we're not going to win every game. Sometimes we're just going to be outpowered, and then in that find a way to kind of stay level-headed and consistent. Bro, I dropped down like 2 levels. I just logged off for a couple hours. Yeah. That's probably a good idea, Henry. And for me, with limited time, I'm like, I need to grind right now. I made time to be able to grind, and I need to be able to get those cubes, and then it just starts feeling bad. So we do have a pretty good layout here. We're going to zero into Ebony Maw. Turn 4, we'll be able to do Shuri into a quadruple powered vision, into a Taskmaster that we could also double the power of here. No, it doesn't. It would... It works... No, it works after the on reveal, so it would double. It would double the double as well. So it should be a pretty strong play. We have the Taskmaster that would be protected in Shuri's lab. We can move Vision over into nowhere because we know that they're not going to be able to use an arrow to pull our last turn play there. And so we should be able to have all of our win conditions here. And I'm going to go ahead and play our Widow's Bite and our Shuri. The only thing that could really stop us, I think, right now would be maybe a leech, and even that is going to be a tough one. Shuri Vision, yeah, Shuri Vision is a huge one, and KM Best did some kind of version. It wasn't anywhere near this build, but he did some version of a Shuri Vision to kind of counteract the leader meta, because you can move that big resource around the board and just find yourself with so much. Yeah, it's gonna be a very big vision. We're gonna go ahead and throw him down. It's gonna be double the double, so it's gonna be a 28 power vision that we can move across the board into a 56 power Taskmaster, I believe. And if they use a leader on the last turn, is not gonna be 56 power, which is huge. Yeah, Taskmaster can be 56 if we drop it into Shuri's lab. Leech and Cosmo are the issues. Stops you playing your deck. I like Cosmo as a counter card. Leech is so polarizing that if you find yourself in it stops me from wanting to run any kind of combo decks. So our Silver Surfer, very reliant on it, like a last turn, a big power play, and that kind of stops it. He's leaving before turn 6. I would if I was him, but we'll see. We'll see if he sticks around, because that's a massive vision. Wait, and Tony, you said you can't count 56? I think it's going to be, because we got hit with Scorpion, it's not going to be quite 56. But I'm not quite sure I understand the comment on Tony. But we do get the cheeky 2 cubes. So with this list, we usually put the opponent in a position where they just have to leave, unless we are doing our Invisible Woman kind of surprise last turn play. Otherwise, we have to chip away at 2 and 4 cube victories where we can. The meta is making me not want to play. This is the only season I've had issues climbing. Yeah, I think this season has been, because more people are getting to that point where, they are into Series 3, they're getting deeper into Series 3, we're seeing a lot more competitive, like people really pushing to try to climb. I've seen very few bots this season, which I think kind of padded and helped my climb experience in the past. And so this one has been a challenge. I like the higher competitiveness of the game, but whenever you're seeing like the same decks over and over, it does kind of get repetitive and a little bit old. Michael, you said, "Hey TLSG, finally caught one of your streams." I'm so glad that you're here. This one was an impromptu one. It was not one that I had necessarily planned. I just found myself with a little extra time, and I knew I haven't streamed in a while, and I wanted to jump back in. I feel like I missed so many cards in Pool 3. Yeah, and the card acquisition with this and the way it is does kind of feel like that. And then Tone, glad I got to catch a stream. Been watching your videos since I started playing a few weeks ago. Tone, that's huge. I'm so glad that one, that you found the channel, and then two, I'm glad that you're enjoying the content and you were able to catch us live. Pavlos, hey, can I ask something in case you know about it? I opened 6 collector's reserves with no card on pool 3. Is that normal? So the pity timer is 7. So your next reserve should be a guaranteed Series 3 card, which also kind of feels bad. But yeah, it is normal. Miguel, first stream here. Hi, TLSG. Hi, Miguel. I'm so glad that you're here. We are very glad to have you. And then we are going to shift our cards after turn 4. So actually, dropping the Ebony Maw here was kind of silly. Oh, no. And so right now, it'll shift over here, which it won't shift over here. Well, I think in that case, we play our Shuri here. That's going to let us do a Taskmaster behind our Invisible Woman here, and then we could do a Destroyer here to wipe out the rest of the board. But we would retain our Taskmaster. Obscura, hi, glad I could catch a stream and join your Discord. Obscura, I'm so glad that you found the channel, you found the stream and the Discord. I want to do some more kind of cool active things, but just the schedule over the last couple of weeks has been really, really poor. And so hopefully we'll be able to get back to doing some of those cool things. And I'd like to do some kind of, once friendly mode comes out, I'd like to do some kind of draft challenge or draft tournament or just regular like versus. I'd like to do a stream just where we play against each other, and it's like a viewer stream. I think that would be really cool to be able to do. Neven, hey TLSG, I've been loving your videos. First time I made it to a stream. Also, I've climbed a couple hundred cubes using a Patriot Ultron deck. I think Patriot is in a pretty good spot right now because we don't see a lot of strong ongoing cards. And so a lot less people are teching in Enchantress into their decks. And so you find yourself in a lot better position by running those ongoing cards. And so I think I think right now Patriot's in a good spot. I'm not very good. I'm not very good with Patriot. Oh no. I messed up this play line so bad. So the Ebony Maw got the Shuri bonus, which is good. It's not great. So now if we do Destroyer, that's going to wipe this out. This would copy the 15 power, and that's not enough. I think we retreat out of this one. I messed up with the Bifrost. I messed up using Invisible Woman. We're gonna take the 2 key loss. We're gonna learn from our mistakes. We're gonna go down 2. We're not going to go down 4. We could have probably passed. This would have copied the 14, but I think they would have very likely pushed some kind of power into the Bifrost and been able to find their win condition. Yeah, the mechanics. It's been a while since I've juggled playing and reading chat, and so I need to find my good balance again. And then no, do you think that the devs are going to increase the amount of tokens you collect? It's so slow right now. I can only hope. I don't know. I haven't heard any kind of feedback, but I know that if we as a community, as a player base, continue to voice our concerns with the acquisition rate and any issues that we have with how the game is right now, then I think that will force them, and maybe not force them. Force them is a strong word. I think it will give them the tools that they need to make the right decisions, to make the player base happy. And so the best thing that I could say is make sure that we stay vocal about it in a respectful way. Yeah, I don't think at this point, I don't think any change is going to be huge. Do you recommend in general buying Series 3, 4, or 5 cards from the token shop? As a free-to-play player, if it's a core Series 3, at that point would be the only time I would consider doing a Series 3 pool. Outside of that, I think I would be cautious. I would wait to see if the card was going to be good first or not. So like the new cards that came out today, I would wait to see if they're going to be strong in the current meta and if it fits your playstyle. Because even if Null is incredibly valuable, but you just don't necessarily care to play it, at that point, it's not really all that valuable to unlock. And you might be better just waiting for it to degrade so you can get it a little bit easier or cheaper. And so I would say for me on my free-to-play account, I was targeting Series 4 cards that were strong. So I targeted She-Hulk, Absorbing Man, and Luke Cage just because I wanted to play around with him. But outside of that, I've been saving it just to make sure that if something comes up that I really, really want, I'll be able to have the tokens to do that. If you aren't Series 3 complete, I would only focus on getting Series 3 cards. Chubbs, and that's... I'm a little bit torn on that take of it. So if you're spending 1,000 tokens on a Series 3 card, the 400 tokens that you're getting after you complete Series 3 is you're only getting 400 tokens for that 1,000 that you spent. So you're spending an extra 600 tokens to get it a little bit earlier. I think it could be fine. I thought about buying a couple just to finish off the Series 3 collection, but I think it depends on what your goals are. If it's a Series 3 that I think is a staple, I'd say it's definitely worth the 1,000. But yeah, the Series 4 cards cost 3,000 tokens. And so they discarded their Hela. I think we're just going to pass here and see what they end up pulling. I don't know that we have our strong power push here to be able to compete with the power that a Hela discard or resummon deck can push out. We can do Invisible Woman Maximus. Next turn, we could push towards our Red Skull. Because if we have more cards than they do here, then we should be able to find our win condition. Or we should be able to swing this lane in our favor. If we draw into 0, that'd be great. If not, we may end up losing. I'm going to stick this one out. I'm going to risk one additional cube just to see. Consider trying out TLSG's Atuma deck. Yeah, the Atuma deck was pretty solid. It was pretty strong. I think... It could use some refinement. So the Atuma sometimes, like the ramp component, this what I'm running now is a modified version of it, just to try to find some more consistency. But Atuma is okay in the 0 deck list. Mystical being, what does TLSG stand for? And then King Gamer Wiz, I'm doing well. I hope that you're doing well as well. And so TLSG, a while back, before I started doing data analytics, I worked in a warehouse, and there was this one guy that me and my friend saw come into the factory every day, and he always had one of 2 lunches. He was a very quiet guy. I don't really even know what his name was, but he always came in with one of 2 lunches for the day, and it was always either lasagna or spaghetti. And so I don't know why those 2, but me and my friend always started eventually making it a game of trying to guess what this guy was going to have for lunch every single day. And so we started calling it the lasagna or spaghetti game. And so I eventually lost so many times that whenever I started to make this account, his request was that I make my name after the game that we had played for so long, the lasagna and spaghetti game. And so whenever we transitioned, it just kind of stuck, and it's something that stayed with me the rest of the time. Mystical being, I love these stories. I've not heard this one before. So the true meaning of it is that live stream guy. So 6 years ago or so, I thought it'd be really funny to be live streaming on Twitch, and I thought it'd be funny to have the name That Live Stream Guy, so that if you found this stream and you were trying to recommend it to a friend, you could say, hey, have you seen That Live Stream Guy? And your friend would ideally say which one, and it would create this kind of whole funny interaction. Chat ended up shortening it to TLSG for short, and that acronym kind of stuck with me. It's not that live stream guy channel died after like 2 weeks, but I always wanted to create kind of this air of mystery around the name, and so I try to come up with all these kind of crazy stories every time somebody asks. Obscura, He almost had me fooled. That one, somebody actually left it in a comment section on one of the recent videos, and I the lasagna and spaghetti game, and I thought it was very, very funny, and so I did ask them if I could adopt it the next time somebody asked. So good to see you streaming again, Finster Green. I'm so glad to be streaming it, and it may be another case where we don't gain too many cubes today. But either way, I'm still really glad to be back streaming. It's something that I have definitely missed being able to do. The Legend of Soggy Grapes, the spider. I think we could spin that one. I think we could spin that one as well. The Ligmus. Q. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna read the rest of that one. I don't know. King Gamer Wiz. Nice name story. And so now there's so many different versions that depending on when you came into the stream or which one you saw, there's like so many different versions of it that it's hard to identify which one the true one is, and I enjoy that quite a bit. So with Death's Domain, it's going to be hard to push anything there unless we do something like a Red Skull into an Arnhem Zola, which we might end up doing. We could also do Vision and then move it over because we do have Ebony Maw here. A Taskmaster is not going to be a great end-of-game play line for us. So depending on what they drop here, it does look like a Death Wave style deck list. And so as long as we can outpower their wave on the last turn, then I think we should be okay. We get Shuri a turn too late, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and do our Red Skull. I think we will lean into the Arnhem Zola play line. Some Death Wave style deck lists do run Leader, some run Magneto. And so we don't have to worry about Red Skull being pulled or either of the cards that we have face up right now. So if they do a Magneto here, we don't have to worry about it interacting or interfering with the Arnhem Zola play. Now they could do an arrow and really disrupt us, but we'll see. Mystical Being, I heard a few. Finster Green, what's the best new Pull 5 card? Out of the two that were released today or just all Series 5? So if it's all Series 5, I personally like Shuri the best. I think Bast is very, very strong, but it doesn't feel as polarizing. It doesn't feel as just make or break. It creates a lot more consistent early gameplay if you draw into Bast early, but Shuri just has such a polarizing effect in being able to do a 30 power turn 5 is massive. I think Null is also very strong. Out of the 3 that just came out, I think Null has a pretty big potential impact. I haven't seen him very much, but I think that's just because not very many people have him. I don't know. I'm interested in trying out Nighthawk the most. Sentry is an interesting kind of build around puzzle. I think Nighthawk will have several applications just because you can start clogging up the opponent's board. And they throw down a Leader, which is one of the best things I like with the Arnhem Zola or the Taskmaster is that it doesn't necessarily do what they need it to do. So I think we actually tie in Death's Domain though, because we have the 15 power Red Skull that will come down. It boosts their 2 up. And so, oh no, so we'd end up losing, right? By 1. Oh, that's a tough one. That one's tough to swallow. We lost by 1. We'll take the 2 cubes. We just have to stay slow and steady, consistent. We'll find one 8 cube game and we're back in it. So if we get, it's the leader in game. So that one was brutal. Most of the time an Arnhem Zola, a Taskmaster can allow you to find those leader win conditions, but just that one was a tough one. POV, you have Nighthawk and they can't draw because of Black Widow. But the next location is Limitless. So if you played Black Widow and they have the Widow's Bite in hand, oh yeah, never mind, you're right. Limitless would just destroy their deck, which I think actually could be okay, because then they wouldn't get any additional resources. You'd probably find a retreat that way. But Limitless is going to be one of the locations that if you're running a Nighthawk like focus deck, is going to be... Lamentis can tank that deck. I think a pretty good alternative is going to be like a Mr. Negative kind of like mid-range. Yeah, Nighthawk. Sorry, it's Darkhawk. But yeah, Darkhawk is a 4/1 with the ongoing +2 per card in your opponent's deck. So things like Korg that are already very strong have an additional kind of value assigned to them. I don't know if Rock Slide is still going to be worthwhile or not. Man almost made me miss a stream. Sasuke, I'm so glad that you made it. Better late than never. I'm so glad that you're here. So in true TLSG fashion, we started with a -8, and now we have to just start on our upward ascension. Man, what are these mad hours? So I finished my video for the day and for the featured location to come up tonight, and I had a little bit of extra time, and I've been missing streaming quite a bit, and so I just decided I wanted to go ahead and jump in for a little bit. I don't know how long the stream will be, but I did want to at least stream for a little while. I am glad that you made it, though. When clans are introduced into the game, will you be creating a clan? And if so, what requirements would you need to get accepted? Harley Hawkins, when clans are created, I would like to create a clan, and I would like to make it as accessible to the most people as possible. And it depends on what size they put on like members. So if you can have an unlimited number of members, then I think it's a really loose requirement. If it's very restrictive and you can only have 300, 100, I think at that point we have to look at the requirement. So it's not set right now, but we will have one at some point once they are announced into the game. I just don't know exactly what it's going to look like just yet. And so, Liram, what does TLSG stand for? So, I used to work at Walmart. That was my first job out of high school. Was working Walmarts, and I worked in the produce section. And we sold, like, out of all of the fruits, the vegetables, everything in produce, the thing that we sold the most commonly was grapes. And so we always had to make sure that we had grapes on hand, or else our profit for the day just like tanked. And so there was this one day that we were expecting, it was going into the weekend, so this was our rush. This was our main time to really push all of our produce and get everything out. And we had a big shipment of grapes. So they shipped them in pallets. And so it was a big pallet of grapes. And I don't know why. We had it stored in the refrigerator. Something happened, and there was a malfunction with the sprinkler system. And so there wasn't a fire, there wasn't anything. It was, they came out and checked it. It just soaked the entire refrigerated section, and this whole pallet of grapes. I'm talking like tons and tons of grapes got soaked. And our store manager said, you know what? It's produce. They're supposed to be wet. Sell them anyways. And I'm like drowning in grapes, basically. And so we wheeled them out, and it's leaving a trail of water behind as we wheel out this pallet of grapes. And they said, do it anyways. Just send them out. And so that was actually the last day that we were known for selling the most grapes. After that, it made enough people mad enough that they just stopped buying grapes from the store. They went to a nearby competitor. And so eventually I moved out of Walmart. But this story was something that we told all of the new people that started. And it was the legend of the soggy grapes. And it was funny enough. And it was something that I wanted to keep with me. And so it ended up being the legend of the soggy grapes. And I wanted to respect the time of the incredibly soggy grapes that we had by kind of monumentalizing it in my channel. So actually the name stands for that live stream guy. I like to create an air of mystery around it wherever possible, but it stands for that live stream guy. 6 years ago, it's a much less cool story, but 6 years ago, around 6 years ago, I created a channel that I thought was going to be very, very fun. It was titled That Live Stream Guy, and I wanted it to be whenever somebody found the stream and they recommended it to a friend, they'd be like, hey, have you seen that live stream guy? And then, of course, at that point, they'd be like, which one? And it'd be like, that live stream guy. And chat shortened it to TLSG for short. I only streamed on it for like 2 weeks, and the acronym stuck. And so I like to create an air of mystery around the name wherever possible. I am very bad at coming up with names, so I have to rely on chat to come up with different cool kind of like lore and backstories to it. And while I was talking about the Legend of the Soggy Grapes, we actually did get an 8-cube win. We are now neutral for the day, so we're back to 0. And so even though we lost the first like 3 games, we're at a net neutral because we were able to still kind of not get too greedy too quickly, and we were able to find a way to get neutral. Plus Sasuke just jumped in, and so we have to go positive. Anytime Sasuke's here, we just start climbing like crazy. Safe would love to see a video one day titled "What Does TLSG Mean?" And it's just a compilation of all the different stories you told on stream, but the real one. That would be Sif. That would be amazing. I want to do that someday. I don't know like when or where or how, but that I love that idea. I like creating kind of the air of mystery, and I'm really bad at like lying about the story, and so it's fun for me to see what we can come up with. And Sasuke, of course you're neutral now. I'm here. I got to go to work though. Have work tomorrow. Oh no, we have to get as many cubes as we possibly can while you're here, so that we can kind of coast the rest of the stream. Tone, I love Soggy Grapes. Zay, love your videos, man. Dino and Professor Deck is currently helping me climb. Zay, that is one of probably the most consistent lists that I've ran, and it was created by KM Best, which is another really good Marvel Snap creator. He's mainly on Twitch. But that one has held solid for the last couple of seasons, and I've found it, even whenever we're in this kind of unknown meta, that one is always kind of that consistent go-to. The Last Aaron Griefer story was a good one too, and that one was just kind of off the top of my head, and so yeah, I do I do like that one as well. There's been a couple of really cool ones. My favorite is still the Lonely Sniper guy. That one was actually believable the first time I heard it. That one's probably one of my favorite. That one's one of my go-tos. Is the Lonely Sniper guy. Adrian, I don't know what is real anymore. I want to know the real history. We've told the real history a couple of times, but we've aired it in so many different versions that it's hard to identify which one the true one is. Hi TLSG, who do I drop for Hood out of Destroy deck? Squirrel, Yondu, or Nova? So, are you running, is it like a Death Wave, or is it purely like a Destroy deck? And so if it's purely Destroy, I would say probably Squirrel Girl, just because you don't get as much value out of her. If it is a Death Wave, I would say drop Nova, because a lot of times that's not your big power push. Do you think running Absorbing Man in Surfer deck is a better choice than, say, another 3-cost card? That's one that I've been interested in, but I haven't actually tried out, is Absorbing Man. I would think that it would be more worthwhile if you ended up running a Magic as well as the Absorbing Man, so you could drop both Silver Surfer and Absorbing Man on that last turn. But I don't know how well that works in practice. I like the idea of Absorbing Man with Silver Surfer, but I just don't know how reliable it would be. And so that one I would have to play around with. I don't know that I would drop a 3-cost card without Magic though. Death Wave She-Hulk. Yeah, definitely drop out Nova, because that's not going to be your win condition anymore. Let's go ahead and play our Vision next turn. We can maybe do a Red Skull. And then we have Vision to move around the board. They have a Vision as well, but our Vision is 14 power. Theirs is 7. And then we have our Taskmaster to throw down. I think we're going to move... No, they're going to think we're going to leave Vision where he's at. They're going to assume that we move Vision. We're going to leave Vision. We're going to play Taskmaster mid, and maybe they'll shift around. This one could go either way, but we are now positive. They ended up retreating, so we will take that. We'll take those. Oh no, War Crown. Whoever beat me today in game, you're welcome for the cubes. In this meta, there are huge swings of really good and really bad. love seeing you featured in Cozy's content creator video this last weekend. Yeah, and that was something I didn't know if I was going to be able to slot in. I've wanted to. Cozy and I have talked quite a bit, and I wanted to be able to do something together. But just my schedule recently has been probably the worst it's ever been. So I was glad I was able to find time. I wish I had a little bit more time to prep ahead of time. But I am glad that I was able to fit in something, and hopefully we can do some more kind of collaborative effort sometime soon. Just wondering, would you say that this game is pay to win? I think it's... it's not fully pay to win, but I do think it is leaning more towards you having an advantage if you do have a deeper collection, which would be paying to win. I think right now it's still okay because you can build quite a few decks, and a lot of the core decks don't necessarily use the Series 4 and 5 cards. But I think once we start seeing some really polarizing and just unbeatable things, could you imagine if Leader was a Series 5 card? And it felt like everybody needed to buy Leader to be able to compete in the current meta. At that point, it's only a matter of time before a card is released that feels that way. And I think, yeah. I wouldn't say it's pay to win. Yeah, I don't think there's like pay barriers where you have to pay or else you're going to, or I don't think it's where you have to pay or else you just can't progress any further. But I do think to a degree it is leaning more towards you have an advantage if you pay. Yeah, but the game economy is very hard when players need a certain card. Even though you have the autonomy to kind of pick which ones you unlock, I agree that it doesn't feel incredibly great. Aren't you getting matched with people with the same collection level? Not necessarily, Patrick. So it's a mixture. It's a mixture between collection level, rank, MMR, which is kind of an invisible matchmaking rating to say how good or bad, like not necessarily how good or bad, but just what range of opponents you should match against. So in pool 2, you can towards the higher ranks, you can start matching against people that are in pool 3, and so it starts feeling a little bit tough at that point. So we have Shuri, which is going to be really good to drop into Kamartaj. It looks like they're running a Silver Surfer deck, so I don't think they're going to be running as much disruption. We might have to look out for a Cosmo behind Invisible Woman. I don't know why we played Maximus. We gave them additional card draw, which is not what we wanted to do. And then Richard Wynn, how's it going? I'm glad you're able to jump in and join us. Doxter, I got Brood today, which is most consistent Death Wave or Surfer. Glad you're back in stream. I'm glad that you're here. I think they're both pretty consistent. Surfer is good against non-leech leader plays. Death Wave is good just in general at being kind of that consistent slow cube game. So if you have She-Hulk, I would say Death Wave. If you don't, I would say probably Silver Surfer. So we're going to go ahead and play our Shuri. Next turn, we can play Vision. And that feels bad. That will kill our Maximus, but it will allow us to push additional power into the flooded lane if we need to, depending on what they drop. And so they played a Juggernaut, but our Shuri is already revealed, so that's okay. I think we might still be able to find a way to win. I think it's just going to be a little bit more tough. We might even do the double power Red Skull instead. We can do the double power Red Skull into an Arnim Zola to move it here and here. I don't think they can beat 30 power in either of these lanes, even with a Silver Surfer trigger, which this looks like a Silver Surfer list. We're just looking for a way to play around their power push. I'm collection level 750 and all my games are against people over level 1000. Yeah, so if you've been pretty consistent at winning, then you do start getting matched against people much higher collection level and much higher rank. Could you do a gameplay video on your Pool 3 Dr. Doom Odin deck? Currently struggling playing with it. How long ago did I post it, David? If you would, will you either shoot me a message in the Discord or just shoot me a message on Discord? I want to make sure that I'm running the right one. And I'll take a look at it to see if it kind of still stands up as is. And so with Cosmo here, they're not going to be able to do a huge push. We could do our Destroyer here. It's not going to trigger. Arnim Zola is much less consistent because they did play a card into Warrior Falls this turn. And so it'd be a 50-50 of what it destroyed. I think Destroyer to the left is going to be a more consistent play line. And they'll have to play their Silver Surfer here, so I think we keep the 37 power in the far right lane. Henrique, hey TLSG, your content is on fire lately. Keep up the great work, and thank you. I'm Henrique, Henrique. I'm so glad to hear that because it. Oh no, we're gonna lose again. Because some of the numbers have dropped as I transition into kind of pool 3 related content, and so I'm glad that it's still like the content itself is good, and that you're still enjoying it. That helps kind of ease my concern with some of our stuff lately, and my schedule has been really poor. I had to travel back home, and just a lot of life things got thrown at me really quickly, and so I'm glad that the content is still good, and I'm really glad that you're still enjoying it. I think the trickiest stage of the game is being a high pool 2 player because you're going up against a lot of pool 3. Yeah, and then early pool 3, you're going against people with full collections, and if your early pool 3 cards or pools are bad, then you're in for a tough road. So I agree. The clunkiest stage for me felt like the transition from 2 to 3. Whitson, how do you know what collection level the people you are playing are? There's not necessarily a way to tell, but sometimes you'll get matched up against, or sometimes you'll get matched up against other people that are like common players. So like if you matched up to me, but you're only rank 80, you know that I have a much deeper collection. And so I don't think it's anything that is like publicly known or visible. You can look on snap.fan if they are tracking on there. You can tell, but otherwise it's just kind of a guess. And so I'm going to play Ebony Maw behind Invisible Woman. Actually, no. Taskmaster got hit with Icebox, so I was thinking we weren't going to be able to play it before turn 6 anyways, and so I was just going to hide our Ebony Maw. But with the Superflow, we should be able to sneak out Taskmaster on 5 anyways, even though it got hit with Icebox. Ravi, I love the vibe you bring to the table. Your channel is less flash and less unkempt. Less flash and less unkempt, but I appreciate that because it speaks to the quality of your deck builds. Yeah, every time I present a build, I want it to be as consistent as I can possibly make it. It's not always like a negative 1,000 Hobgoblin that we're sending their way, and so I'm glad to know that kind of comes through because that is the feel that I want to push into my content and into my build. I want people to know that whenever you click on a video, the deck is going to be at least decent. It might not be the most decent at gaining cubes, but I want it to do what it does well. Whether that be controlling the board, which are typically lower cube gain decks. I want them to be solid lists for the most part. Hey, a post-work stream. Soniv, how's it going? I'm so glad that you were able to jump in and join us. And then Jesse, TLSG, you're the Bob Ross of Snap. Thank you for being so chill. I don't think I could be anything else. I think anything else would be a mask, and I think eventually that mask would have to slip, and it just, and I don't think it's something I could maintain or would want to maintain. I want to bring forth authenticity to the content, so that everyone knows what they're getting into. Ooh, so they have an Iron Man. They did snap, so they're running an ongoing deck list. It could be a Spectrum ongoing. Could have been a Mr. Negative that they're just getting some upside from the Superflow. So we might not have the best. We might not have the best deck here. So we could do Destroyer, but that's going to take out these. We could hide our Taskmaster, but that's going to copy the 7 power from Maximus in this lane, which is still going to be a pretty big power push. And then on the last turn, we could do Zero and Destroyer. which I think might be the direction we want to go with it. We're going to leave Vision here for now. Next turn, we will shift him over into the Superflow, and then just hope that they don't have a big, powerful push in the middle location. You for sure have a spot and vibe in the Snap content creator community, my friend. Robbie, thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm a warrior by nature, and so it helps kind of ease that concern. And so let's go ahead and move our Vision over. We can do 0 into Destroyer. The only issue that we have is 23 power enough to win the Icebox? Actually, probably not. They have the Mojo, which they'll cap this one out pretty easily. They could have Silver Surfer, which is going to buff these two. This one's going to be a retreat. Yeah, seems like an easy retreat. Can't win mid. Yep, that one's going to be one that we're just going to take the loss where we can. The double Iron Man makes it harder to overcome. I think they got more value out of the Superflow than we did in that one. The scary Silver Surfer deck. Yeah, that one being that high end was going to be a tough one to find a win condition, even if we had like the best draw we possibly could have. On my end, it's not even the deck quality that keeps bringing me back. You're just very entertaining to watch. Henrique, I appreciate hearing that as well, because my personality is not necessarily all flash. It can be dry sometimes, but it is very positive, and so I'm glad to know that it's not just the mispronunciations or just the deck quality that brings you back. So we're going against a Thanos deck here. Let's see if we can start finding our cubes again. We're not climbing as much as we have been otherwise. You personally run a Lockjaw Thanos, or as I'd like to call it, Lockchin? Why is it Lockchin? But I don't have Thanos, so I haven't tried out. But I think either a Bounce or Lockjaw Thanos would be kind of the angle that I would go with it. I also don't have Galactus just yet either. Kevin, hope you're feeling better, TLSG. Thank you so much, Kevin. I'm feeling okay. A little bit, actually, kind of like cold or sore throat-ish. But as far as like everything else going on from life, I do feel a little bit better today. I think it's gonna be hit and miss. What is that? Okay, Q. What is the purple guy's most notable trait? Okay, that makes sense.
Oh, snap.
Do we have our alert on? But I do want to read a couple of the subs to thank you guys. Bucky, Marvin, Jessica, HR Ischo, Whitson, Cosmic, Zaki, The Curls, Shin, Goku, Kiadi, Andre, and then Andre again, Faceless. Thank you guys all so much for the subs. If you guys are still here, if not, I appreciate them. I appreciate them nonetheless. So we actually can't play on turn 4. This one will probably end up being a retreat as well. But unless they snap, we're just going to let it play out. Joe Bro, how's it going? I'm so glad you were able to jump in and join us today. What do you think about the next season pass card? Valiant, is that the next season pass card? I actually haven't looked into what the next season's card is, but if it is that one, that could be pretty big. Joe Bro, I'm good. I'm doing well as well. So we could do a Red Skull, but that's going to buff up all of these cards. We could do a Red Skull into a Taskmaster to give us an extra power push here. I don't know that is going to be enough, though. Tiago, hey TLSG, I was your last opponent. What did you have under the Invisible Woman? Oh, I already forgot. It wasn't anything great. I think it was maybe Lizard or Maximus. Oh no, how can I not remember the last game? I know that you had an insane Silver Surfer ramp, and so actually you should be able to, I think, scroll backwards just a little bit. I don't remember off the top of my head though. Maximus, Taskmaster. Oh yeah, so it was Ebony Maw, Maximus, and Taskmaster. So it would have been 23 power mid. But I was assuming you had a really big push. You were going to get a big boost from your mojo, which I don't think with the Mystique there, I don't think I was going to be able to compete for. Thank you, Vanstrom, by the way. I'm going to retreat out of this one. I don't like the way that it's set up. And so we're going to take the 1 cube loss, and then we'll jump into another one. I'd rather take 1 and 2 cube losses here and there, and then find our bigger games whenever we have the ideal setup. But Tiago, I'm so glad that you're here. We've went on a couple of loss streaks. Yeah, your mojo mid was gonna, I think, win you that location, probably hands down. If you could change Snap in any way, what would it be? So I think there's a lot of things that could be different. I think one of the most common things that I see or saw before the card acquisition, in a card game, I would like everyone to be able to have or potentially have all of the cards. That way you can get as competitive as possible. But I also understand that creates kind of net decking, and the vision of the game is that everyone has a different collection. I wish there was a better way to make it feel like any purchases that you made were not I wish there was a way to make it feel like the purchases that you made were worthwhile. Because right now you buy gold, it doesn't feel like you're getting as much value out of it as what you put in. So I would change the card acquisition in some way. If we're talking about like the core gameplay mechanics, I would really like some kind of draft mode, some similar to the arena in Hearthstone. I just think it's such a fun way to play and not be incredibly competitive. So if we're not liking the leader leech meta, then we could jump over there and we could play several games, and everyone's at an equal foot. So even if I can't have all of the cards, the draft mode or the arena or however it was posed would allow everyone to kind of be on that level playing ground. And so I think that would be a game mode that I think a lot of people would like to see, because then you could try out the new cards without actually buying the 6,000, buying them for 6,000. And if it wasn't a whole new game mode, having a trial period for new cards somehow, I think that would shift the meta too heavily. I think that would shift the meta too heavily, but being able to try out the new card before you buy it, I think would be incredible. Similar to some games that allow you to buy or to try a champion before you actually make the purchase. If they could find a way to work that in without absolutely shifting the meta entirely, I think that could be another way to... I think that would be a win for players. So even if you're going against bots in an unranked mode, but you get to try out the card either in a pre-made deck or your own version, I think that could be a win to let you know, is this worth buying or not? What is everyone's favorite card variant? I'm a big fan of the Chibi Electro variant. There have been some pretty cool ones that have come out recently, but I have a soft spot for that one. So I think we're going to start stacking our cards into the Bifrost so that when they shift over into Luke's Barb, we at least have some kind of power push. And it looks like they're running a Bast Silver Surfer deck, so that has a pretty high ceiling. If we don't draw into Shuri, this may be a game that we end up retreating out of. We also have the opportunity to move our vision over there if we don't have enough, or if we need a little bit more power push. We could always do a Red Skull into an Arnim Zola. We have a couple of decently powered plays, but I think they also have a very high ceiling. So if it looks like they're going to hit that, we need to probably retreat before it becomes an issue. So we're going to go ahead and we'll play Zero. I'm just going to play Zero into Wakanda. That way I can do Red Skull. If I end up going the Arnim Zola path of pushing the 15 power Red Skull here and here, it's not going to trigger the Mojo bonus. I would rather avoid that if we can. Dinar, am I late? We are just a little bit over being live for 1 hour. So I will actually have to end the stream soon because I'll have to go pick up my daughter from daycare. So you're a little bit late, but better late than never. I got the Max Greco Dr. Doom. I like it, but I want Venomized Hela. The Venomized Hela looks pretty good too. I think there are so many really talented artists and different variants that are out there that I think there's I think there's a lot. I don't think I have one personal just absolutely favorite that like takes that slot over something else. I just got a sick Nightcrawler split, inkified with black cosmic particles. That is the exact layout of, if I was running an inkified card, I would want it to have those black cosmic particles. I think that looks really, really good whenever that does come up. So I actually think we have a pretty good shot here. I don't think they will stay if we snap, though. We're going to try it. We'll be able to Arnim Zola. That'll push the 15 power Red Skull here, and I don't know that they're going to have a big enough power push. They do have Mr. Negative, but they've only had one turn to draw into those cards and resources. So I think we can find a way to outpower and outpush them. May I like this live stream video? Dinar, you absolutely may like the stream. And then if you want to go back and watch the rest of it, it's been a very up and down stream as far as cube gains go. But you're more than welcome. The video on demand will always be there after the stream ends. I like the chest variant of Bishop. It's not too out there like others I have, but it's gold. Yeah, I do like the flavor of that one. Do you have a strategy for splitting cards, Doxter? I don't. Honestly, on this account, most of the time I try to keep them at legendary, just because I like the aesthetic of having them all at orange. But outside of that, I don't necessarily have a strategy, unless I just have one card that I really want to get split. In that point, I just save up a lot of credits and then spin them all at once. And then Zero, how's it going? I'm glad you're able to jump in. Man ended the stream negative anyways. Wait, I haven't ended. Oh, gotcha. Now, how can I sleep now? So you haven't even left yet, and we're negative, Sasuke. Just imagine what happens whenever you do go to sleep. But I'll probably end in the next probably 10 or 15 minutes, Sasuke. I did want to just jump in and do at least some kind of short stream, since I did have a little bit of extra time. Is this the best Shuri list? I don't know, Mason. I think it's a very good take on it. I think it counters a lot of what we're seeing in the meta right now. So it can counter Leader in a couple of different ways, either through Arnim Zola, Taskmaster, or a Vision play. It can counter Leech because you can have your Destroyer. There's a lot of really good cards you can top deck into. But I don't know. I think the best version may be a little bit bold. This is the best version that I've found. That doesn't run Leader. I want to try and not run Leader. I know he's going to get gutted eventually, and so I don't want to lean on him too heavily. But this one has a lot of consistency, a lot of options, a lot of play paths and potential, and so I like this one the best. Is it possible to make a viable Zoo or Devil Dino deck in Pool 2? Zero skills. I actually did a video on a Khazar Zoo deck for Pool 2 and a Devil Dino deck as well. And I think they are viable going into Pool 3. And actually Khazar Zoo was what I used to hit Infinite on my Pool 2 account. So I do have a couple of videos for a couple of deck ideas. It's been just a little bit since I did run it. Is it bugged? Yeah. The invisible card here is bugged. I'm guessing somebody had a split that had this kind of card effect, and so it's stuck there now. I haven't seen this one before, but it is very interesting to see. We can still do our Taskmaster behind Invisible Woman, and then we're hoping to draw into like a Red Skull or a Destroyer by the end of the game. And I think that's the direction we are going to go. Oh, a deck that's 50-50. I think that's a little bit tougher. To me, those kind of seem counterintuitive to each other. Either with Zoo, you want to... Olive, glad you made some time to stream. Sasuke, I'm glad you made some time to check it out. I think, to me, they seem counterintuitive. With Zoo, you want to flood your entire hand. With Dino, you want to have a big hand. And so I think I'm sure that there is a way to make it happen, but I just don't know the best way to do it. So... they used White Queen, so they should have a version of either our Taskmaster or our Vision. If they run Arrow here, then we'll end up retreating. If not, then I think we should have a pretty good chance of winning. Oh no. So it pulls the Destroyer, which is not the zeroed out version. So our Taskmaster is actually going to copy our Zero. That is not what we wanted to see. Oh no, it's a zeroed out. Oh no, it's a zeroed out Taskmaster. Definitely not what we wanted to see. So now we have a relatively weak last turn play. We could do the 7 power here, but that's easily countered. 7 power here. That Doc Ock can either make or break a game. I run it sometimes. I've tried it in this list, but it feels a little bit too inconsistent. Sometimes you're just going to tank your whole game, and so it's snapping early doesn't really feel that valuable. Or after it comes down, a lot of times if you snap, the opponent's going to leave. Arnhem the Goblin and send it back. Just to prove a point that we can send their Goblin back to them. No, it was protected by Wakanda. We wouldn't have been able to. Arnhem Zola wouldn't have destroyed the Goblin, and so then it would have ended up sticking. So we do have the Invisible Woman, we have the Shuri, we have Zero, so we have a decent setup so far. If we can draw on maybe Taskmaster or one of our really strong cards, then I think we can find a way to win this one. But then it comes down to which of these two do we compete for, either having the most cards here or the biggest cards in these two lanes. And right now I don't know which direction we go with on that. So I'm and then into the Nexus. So I think we actually lean into the Baxter Building and the Nexus location. So we could do Zero and Ebony Maw into the far right. We're still looking to ramp up into our Shuri. I don't know that we hide our cards behind Invisible Woman, though. I think that makes it a little bit harder to pull off a big last turn play. It loses us initiative since we don't have our Taskmaster or anything we necessarily want to hide behind. I think we're going to just use Zero, Ebony Maw, and then we'll avoid the Invisible Woman route this turn. Zola doesn't work on Wakanda. It used to, Mike, but now it doesn't. So if it can't destroy the cards, it won't create copies of them. And so then it just kind of counteracts that ability. Vicestern finally caught a stream. Love your work, dude. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you caught the stream, that you were able to jump in, and that you're enjoying the content. That means a huge deal. And so I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad to have you here. We're going to go ahead and play Shuri. That will let us do a double powered vision that we can move over into Mojo World, even if they use an arrow. They do have Lockjaw, so that gives them some potential for some really high power plays in the Nexus. But I think our high roll would likely be higher than their high roll. Tahad, I just got to collection 1000. Is it going to be more difficult to obtain cards from now on? In Series 3, it's not too difficult. Once you get to Collector's Reserves, it's 7 reserves max in between cards, and so it's not huge, or it's not terrible. It's not terrible, so you still get them at a decent rate, but it does slow down quite a bit. But not anywhere near as bad as whenever you're in looking for Series 4 or Series 5 cards. So I think you'll still see quite a bit of variety pretty consistently. So we could do the Red Skull. My only worry is if they have some kind of counter to it. So if they have a Shang-Chi, they can destroy this card. With a Vision, we could try to make sure we don't have initiative going into that last turn, and we could shift it over. But I think we lean in. I think Red Skull is going to be our best bet, and then if we can draw into our Taskmaster next turn, even better. And then SV, is that Sven, or is it just SV Ian? We do draw into our Taskmaster, so as long as they don't have a way to disrupt it, then we should be okay. I think we should have snapped last turn, though. Just imagine how big this game will have grown in 4 to 6 years. I sure hope that they continue to listen to player feedback. I think that's going to be the Wait, I took away a cube, right? Yeah, we're supposed to gain a cube. I think if they continue to listen to the player feedback and make sure that it's a game that is fun and feels rewarding to everyone that's playing, I think this game can be incredibly big in a couple years. and I'm excited to see where it goes. So far, they've taken feedback from the players very well, and they've done a good job at like implementing those changes. As long as they continue to do that, I think it's going to have a very long and successful life. But as far as what does TLSG stand for, so a couple of years ago, before I got into like the analytical or strategy style games, I played Call of Duty competitively, and so me and my team, it was teams of 4 is what we played in. And I was always the sniper role, so I was always in the back, away from the action, just kind of scoping out and making sure that my opponent or my teammates weren't going to get blindsided. They knew where the player locations were. Every once in a while, I got a couple of really cool and good picks, but for the most part, it was a very slow kind of process, and I really wanted to be just in the middle of the action and really be just where everything was happening. But I was always back. It was kind of lonely being so far back there, that the team started, and I have voiced this concern with them that I've been the sniper a while. I would like to try something else, and eventually the team started kind of poking fun at the fact that I was so distraught at being back in the back by myself, basically alone. And so it became known as, they started picking fun at me. I started becoming known as the lonely sniper guy, always out in the back by himself, but wanted to be in the middle of action. And so I shortened it. I decided to really own that title. And so then it went down to the lonely sniper guy, or TLSG for short. But no, the actual origin story is that it was about 6 years ago. I created a streaming account, and I only streamed for a couple of weeks. And I thought it would be funny if you're trying to explain to your friends what you're that you're trying to explain to your friends, and you saw the stream, and the streamer's name was that live stream guy. And so you're like, "Hey, have you seen that live stream guy?" And they're like, "Which one?" And of course, then you have to explain that it's the actual name. That was the actual origin, and then chat shortened it to TLSG for short, and I just kind of stuck with it through the years. But I like to create kind of an air of mystery, so I come up with all kinds of crazy stories as far as like how TLSG came to be. And I'm really bad at keeping a straight face whenever I tell them. I'm getting better. I'm getting better over time, but I do like to have a couple of different like an air of mystery around the name. But the true origin is that live stream guy. I love this story. I got my name from my bro saying I had no skills, so I decided to make it your strength as well. Now I'm a better gamer than them. That has to be really. I'm the Joker of gaming. That has to feel really good. Zero skills is that you always got kind of picked at for having no skills, and then you're able to kind of just take that, own it, and kind of make it your own. Has to kind of feel uplifting. Wakeless Sleeper, what's good? How's the stream? So far, we've been a little bit up and down. We're going to go ahead and retreat out of this one. We don't have our high roll. We don't have a great turn 5 drop. We would give them more resources with Maximus. I'm going to go ahead and retreat out of this one for the 2 cubes. We've been up and down today. We got to -8, then we hit a big 8 cube victory, went back to neutral, and then it's just kind of been slow and steady. And so just trying to wait it out. But the actual stream itself has been very good. And then Mr. the 4 middle name one got me there for a bit, since it was my first introduction to you. See, that's what I want. You never know when it's the first time somebody is seeing your video, and so I like the idea of having just the name mean all of these different things depending on like what stream you tuned in on. And what was the first time that you saw me, and so that's the idea behind it. And so I'm glad that I'm glad to know that you stuck around after hearing the 4 middle name story. Why retreat turn 5 if they didn't snap? Just for content, get on to the next game. Trent, yeah. We could have thrown down our Maximus, but we didn't have a win condition. And without having our win condition, I don't necessarily need boosters. Because I have more boosters than I can actually spend my credits on. And so I just went ahead and jumped out. If you're trying to like booster grind or you want some extra season pass, there's no harm in going that extra turn. But I did just jump out to get into another game a little bit faster. Okay, I'll admit it. Get this man an Oscar. Because I totally just fell for that tragic sniper story. I mean... That was one version. That's probably one of my favorite versions to tell, is the Lonely Sniper Guy version. So they ramped up with Psylocke. I think we skip our Maximus here. We don't have another one cost drop, but I think I don't want to give them any more resources than they already have. Robbie, reward for your acting. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Reward for your acting. I totally fell for it.
I appreciate the super chat and the support. That super chat is my reward. That's my Oscar. I appreciate it. Your $2 Oscar. I couldn't ask for anything better. So they use Ironheart as the last turn play. We do drop our Maximus, which does allow us to still find our win condition. Make it that legendary snap guide. That is another version that I want to bring forward at some point. We'll take the easy 2 cubes where we can. Let's jump into another one. Let's see if the dancing Groot. Yep, that is my anytime somebody does like a donation or a super chat or super sticker, Groot comes up. If we get channel members, it's a really bad dad joke. It's a Wong joke. Wong pops up, and it's a voice line of me saying, "Hey, what took you so long?" And I really enjoy that one. That's probably going to stay for quite a while. I made it as soon as we got the option to have channel members, and it has been. It's really funny whenever we have a string of channel members, because then that Wong notification just comes up over and over, and it's so very satisfying. Yeah, 0 plus Maw plus TVA. That's one of the good things about this list, is sometimes some decks are so in-game heavy that a TVA is basically just a loss. Deck named Atuma, but I don't see Atuma on the deck. Kurt, I was wondering if anyone was going to ask about that. Print out that super chat and frame it. Like, start framing it behind me for the acting. I was wondering if anyone was going to ask about Atuma. This started as an Atuma deck, but eventually I found that Atuma was just kind of clunky. I took it out for an extra 5 cost drop, so I took it out for Vision. At one point I had Doc Ock in there instead, because most of the time if I was running Atuma, I was usually running it with Shuri, and so I was dropping it on turn 5 anyways. And so I wanted a little bit more consistency for our turn 5 play. And so I eventually settled on, oh no, this is Zero thing all over again. We top decked into Shuri, so we have the zeroed out Maximus, but we can't play our Shuri this game, unfortunately. And so Vision is pretty flexible. And then SV, how long are you streaming? Probably another maybe 10 minutes or so. 10 or 15 minutes. I do have to head out soon to go pick up my daughter from daycare. But I'm going to shoot for being live again tomorrow, a little bit earlier tomorrow. But I really enjoy streaming. I want to get back to doing it consistently. It's just life has thrown a whole lot at me here recently. And so we're gonna work towards doing it again more recently or more consistently. And so I should be live again tomorrow. So we could use our Arnhem Zola on the and then
hey,
Tone Lock.
Welcome. It took you long enough.
There is the Wong notification. Thank you so much for joining us as a channel member. If you refresh your stream, you'll get access to our growing list of emotes. We have a couple of the doggos that you see in the back, a couple of like snaps of me. A lot of times I'll say that I'm going to end the stream and I'll be like, we're just going to play one more. So we have that one. And the list kind of continues to grow. So I appreciate the support. Hopefully you enjoy it. We could do Taskmaster, which is a 7 power play. I think Arnhem Zola is probably going to be our best bet. I don't know that it's going to be good enough. I'm going to move Vision over into Onslaught Citadel. I think they probably play away from Monster Island and lean more towards this lane. So we'll get 14 power, a 14 power push over here. If it was for more than one additional cube, oh no, that is just awful. That is not the last turn play we wanted to see. Noted. See you tomorrow then. Have a great day. SV, I'm so glad that you jumped in and joined us for a little bit. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day as well. The last sane gamer. In this kind of meta that we're finding ourselves in, it's becoming harder and harder to stay that last sane gamer. Greetings from Brazil, Nightwave. I'm so glad that you found the stream, that you jumped in, and I love hearing just how far of a reach this channel has in this game, because it's crazy to think that I live in Texas, and that it's crazy to think that, you know, I can reach people all over the world with the content, and that we can kind of unite over, you know, this hobby or game that we all enjoy playing. So I'm so glad to have you here, Nightwave. So I think we're gonna play into Hala with Lizard. We will probably push for maybe a vision play to move into the danger room without any actual danger. Cosmic Beard, the Texas gang. Are you from Texas as well? I live near the Houston area. Not that you have to share, but I live near the Houston area, and have been here for probably on and off for about 7 years. I moved for college and then moved back eventually to be closer to family. But it is much different than where I was born and where I grew up. Maureen, greetings from Germany, all the way from Germany. I'm so glad to have you, Maureen. And that's why I have Magneto pinned in the shop. Magneto is a really good one. I like Magneto's disruption factor. So if you start seeing a lot of Wong in the meta, Magneto is huge. If you have initiative going to that last turn, you can just absolutely ruin their last turn like game plan. Carlos, I also live in Texas. That's huge. I didn't realize how many Texas viewers we had. Enjoyed the stream. Peace out, everyone. Zero skills. Hopefully I catch you in the next couple of live streams. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great rest of your day. So how is it at Jerry's World? Jerry's World. And then Jake Haywood. Hey TLSG. Hey Jake. I hope that you're having a fantastic day. So let's go ahead and we're gonna play our Invisible Woman. We'll throw Taskmaster behind it, and then maybe a Red Skull. I think it might be one of our only play lines. I don't know that we don't have our Shuri, we don't have our great power push, and so we'll have to kind of pivot. You're from Galveston, so that's really close. Tone Lock, Dallas Cowboys. Oh, is Jerry the Dallas Cowboys owner? Because that one may have went right over my head. Ooh, from Texas, Danny, the Lone Star guy. That's not a how have I not thought about that one? That's not a bad take. From Brazil as well, but living in France. Henrique, that's huge. It's always interesting to me to like the dynamics of like moving away from like your home country or even your home state, because a lot of times that's a really big lift or a really big ask for most people. So it's always interesting for me to see like just all of those kind of different stories, because everybody has a very unique and different story, and we're all kind of found ourselves here in this stream together. And so it's some of those weird like some of those thoughts do invade my brain sometimes. So we're gonna do a 0 Red Skull. I don't know that we win this one. Actually, I think we probably lose this one. If they do a leader, which this looks like probably is going to be a leader, then they'll end up winning because they have the tempo advantage. They'd still win here after the 15 because we'd be 17. Yeah, we're going to take this one. If we did 0 right, then it would reveal after the Invisible Woman, so at the end of the game. And so it wouldn't 0 out our Red Skull. It is why I wouldn't want to play 0 right. But I do think we're just going to take the 1 cube loss. I don't think there's a good chance that we win this one. And in the interest of mitigating our losses, I think if we don't have a good shot at winning, we just jump out and then jump back into another one. Sean, North Cali here. have you always been in North California, or did you kind of get moved over there? And then Pirate Dad, I'm over in Central Cali. I'm sure we have quite a few California people here as well. The Dallas Cowboys owner, 7 a.m. here in Singapore in the stream because I can't sleep. Oh, wow, Tan. So it's 7 a.m. Have you been to sleep yet, or have you not been able to sleep at all yet? At Cosmic Beard, was my Surfer deck versus your Odin Surfer with Lamentus? Oh, not towards me. Tone, I'm in the Bay Area of California, near Sacramento. Okay, let's focus on some Snap. I get distracted by chat and just all of the different stories. I love hearing just in being able to interact with you guys. That's one of the biggest things that I missed about not having been able to stream recently. And so I am glad that we're back in and able to do it a little bit more. So we have our Shuri, we have our Taskmaster. We don't have a great turn 5 play just yet, but we have a lot of good options. So we did snap into it, which they ended up retreating. So we end up with just the 1 cube gain. Let's see if we can get a couple of decent games going. I would rather end on a positive note than a negative note, but if not, then that's okay. We did get to jump back in for a little bit. It's almost midnight for you. Oh, you got to get up at 6. Ooh, I hope I'm not keeping you up, Sasuke. If so, instead of 8. If so, then we definitely need to end the stream soon, because I know that you've said a couple times that you were heading out. Ooh, so we get She-Hulk from the Triskelion, which could be pretty good with a Shuri play that allows us to skip on turn 5 if we need to, and then we could do maybe a Red Skull and a She-Hulk and choose which one we want doubled. So that gives us a little bit of flexibility in our game plan here. I'll know what I'll do. I'll just watch till I fall asleep. I was gonna say, Sasuke, that'll work for me. Hopefully, you need the positive cubes. Can't sleep otherwise. In that case, we need a big game for you. We need to find a big 8 cube so that we end on positive. Turtles love some greens. TLSG. Dang, we got the whole state covered. So we do now have our Taskmaster. We have our Shuri, which is going to be our ideal play line. Strange Academy could potentially move our Vulture into Fisk Tower and end up destroying him. But I think we still have a good shot, even if that is how it happens. So they waived. We could have played a higher power card early. And maybe we should have. Maybe we should have played Destroyer, and then we could have done a Taskmaster a little bit easier. So since we don't have actually, I like the Taskmaster with the She-Hulk. So I'm just going to skip here. We're going to have a 1-cost She-Hulk that will be able to be 20 power. We can then play our Taskmaster as well. So it's going to be a 40 power last turn play. Is Barrow good without arrow? Wow. Is Barrow good without arrow? I think it loses a lot of consistency because arrow is there to make sure that you can. Certain decks are going to really be limited if they're not able to position their cards where they need to on that last turn. So I think without arrow, it does lose a lot of the consistency. But Death Wave, it in and of itself is already pretty consistent and pretty strong. So if you have like Magneto or even a leader, it could still be a pretty good push. So if they have an arrow here, then we just lose because of Fisk Tower, right? We're gonna snap anyways. It might not be ideal. We're gonna try to double down here. Oh, Sasuke, this is where we end. This is gonna be for all the marbles. Either we are really negative, or we're gonna be really, really positive. And there's no in between. And so let's go ahead and finish this playoff, and then we will go from there. That's a whole lot of cubes. Yeah, they better be trolling. And so they do use Odin to re-trigger their Doctor Doom, but we have the massive double-powered She-Hulk and a massive double-powered Taskmaster come in. So Sasuke, you can absolutely go to bed happy with the positive cube gain. We came back from negative a couple of times, and we do end on a positive note. So with that one, we are going to go ahead and end the stream. I hope that you guys all have a fantastic rest of your day. I'm so glad that you jumped in and joined us. I'm going to try to schedule a live stream again for tomorrow. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I will catch you guys on either tomorrow's on tomorrow's video or tomorrow's live stream. As always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.